So, Tim, obviously things can change, but England would be heading to Euro 2024 as one of the favourites, along with France, host Germany. Spain will be in there as well. The recent history for England is obviously good at major tournaments, semi-final, final, quarter-final in the last 3 tournaments. Do you feel that they are, and I'll throw this out to the entire room, but to you, Tim, first, do you think that they're stronger now than they were at the World Cup?
Probably stronger for the experience, I would say. That's something that they've maybe that they're gaining throughout these tournaments that they play, and then Bellingham's elevation into this world-class player makes them a better team, I think. But otherwise, you're not really looking at, unless I'm missing someone, anyone else sort of coming in from the World Cup group a year ago and really sort of helping them push on. I guess you take the quarter-final performance against France as sort of your baseline, because England played well that day. They matched them for a long parts of the game. They were sort of better than them. But so, what were the reasons they didn't win that game, and how do they need to kick on 18 months later for the Euros? I think belief's certainly a part of that. I think ruthlessness, like I said, the experience will help. Having Bellingham as an added sort of world class player will help. But what takes them from sort of contenders to winners? You'd hope that's what Southgate's sort of been looking at, and I'm sure he has been. They could definitely do with a bit more of an edge for me. I remember in the World Cup they got one yellow card in 5 games.
It's interesting what Tim said there, that he's not quite sure whether they're better than they were at the World Cup, and ruthlessness is a key element. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like this England squad in that there are the players that you can, the first name on the team sheet. You've got Declan Rice, you've got Jude Bellingham, you've got Harry Kane, and then around them there are a lot more different options of kind of different profiles of players. So I think if you look at the midfield, for example, you've got James Maddison, someone who's good at kind of getting into spaces. He's got a decent kind of long range shot, break down a low block. You've got someone like Phil Foden who can carry the ball over long distances. You've got someone like Mason Mount, can do a bit of everything. Conor Gallagher, good at kind of enforcing a high press. There's lots of different ways that Southgate has at his disposal of winning games, which I think is really encouraging, because at an international tournament it's mostly knockout. You need to look at how you're going to win individual games game by game. So to have those options, I think is really encouraging. But I would just slightly share, Tim's, think of the word, doubt. I think I would slightly share Tim's kind of doubt of whether Southgate is a man to consistently pick that right option. For me, it is down to those kind of decisions on a game by game basis, because you're not going to win a knockout tournament necessarily by being the best team. You have to be the best team per game.
Now, I think it's probably best if we move away from Tim to ask this question and give it to you, Nick, because otherwise it will look like a vendetta against Gareth Southgate. I mean, Tom's actually sort of joined in the party a little bit himself on Southgate. But do you feel that, or are you aligned with the school of thought that the thing that might stop England winning the tournament is Southgate himself?
Possibly. I'm kind of generally pro Southgate.
Yeah.
But he does...
So am I. Yeah.
He does...
He does really like Gareth Southgate.
He's a lovely guy. He is a lovely guy. Yeah, that's right.
He does. He has this thing about the way to win a tournament is to be kind of solid and not concede goals and not be enormously adventurous, which I suppose changed a little bit at the World Cup. They scored quite a few goals in the group stage anyway. But that's sort of, I suppose you could cast that as pragmatism, when actual pragmatism is just making the best of the resources that you have available. And as kind of Tom suggested, there are lots of sort of the defence is a little bit, you're not really sure who's going to be the other centre back next to John Stones. You're not really sure if you need someone to play next to Declan Rice with Jordan Henderson going to Saudi and so on. So I would think the thing to do there is to sort of lean into all the attacking talents and just kind of not quite caution to the wind, but you use the various attacking talents that Tom's already talked about a little bit more, handbrake off a little bit perhaps. So yeah, it will be kind of interesting to see whether he persists with a similar kind of approach to at the Euros, to see, assuming England do qualify, which they probably will do. to whether he changes that or continues as before.
Well, I think there might be a scenario where his hand might be forced because he wants that second defensive-minded midfielder alongside Declan Rice, and he's chosen traditionally Calvin Phillips, who's just not playing football, and I think will surely rule himself out if he's not playing at all in the second half of the season. And then Henderson's the other, and I think him playing in Saudi for a year, I don't know, he's still clinging on to his squad space for now, but I don't. Again, that doesn't feel sustainable to me. Maybe Southgate feels differently. And I think we did see in the summer Southgate looking ahead in that regard and playing Trent Alexander-Arnold in there. So he missed September's games with injury, but he's back in the squad now. So I'm interested to see whether he's down as central midfielder in the squad list.
Yeah.
So if he's there alongside Rice with Bellingham just ahead, is that the future for England's midfield? And that feels a little bit more exciting, certainly in terms of creativity for me.
The other one who is not in the current squad, he's in the under 21s, is Rico Lewis, who was obviously certainly for the recent Man City Arsenal game was picked in midfield ahead of Calvin Phillips. And as you say, Calvin Phillips is, if he wasn't going to be playing when Rodri was suspended, then just get out of there, Calvin. It's not happening. So I reckon Rico Lewis may well be in the squad for the Euros, which would give, while Alexander-Arnold is a slightly more exciting option if Southgate does want that sort of extra solidity in midfield, then I think he would be a good shout as well.
Okay, so we're not necessarily all sold on England being favourites for the tournament. Is that fair?
Not clear favourites. They're in the top four for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if it's not going to be England, are we all thinking it will be France, or do you have any other sort of more random picks? Tom, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about Spain because I like Spanish football, and I do think that looking at the World Cup, I mean, they started off so well and then kind of came unstuck against Morocco, but I think since then Spain have added a bit more of an attacking edge to their team, which I think is quite interesting. If you're looking in La Liga, you look at kind of the new wingers that are coming through. There's Nico Williams at Athletic Club, who just really incisive and can kind of win a game all by himself. There's Lamine Yamal as well, who we've spoken about on this podcast. Obviously still very young, but he clearly has that ability. Even Brian Zaragoza has just been called up to the team ahead of these next round of fixtures, and he's started off really well. I think there's this kind of profile of Spanish winger which we've not seen in quite a while, which could unlock new things for them going forward. And then on top of that, you've obviously got the midfield of Rodri, Pedri and Gavi, which is probably up there with the best midfielders in the world. David Raya in goal. I think they're building quite nicely, and if they can add a bit more bite to that possession football, which we all know they're so good at, I think they could be definitely in with a shout.
I was going to suggest Portugal, partly because they have sort of absurd levels of sort of talent depth in their squad. João Felix is doing quite well for Barcelona, I think, not as far as I can tell. I mean, Ronaldo's still hanging around, Bernardo Silva, Jota, you kind of know most of the players involved there. They've also been incredibly good in the qualifiers so far. Admittedly, a friendly-ish group, but they've won 6 out of 6. They've scored 24 goals and conceded 0 in those 6 games. So, yeah, I would say Portugal.
If not England, who, Tim?
It's always Portugal on paper for me, I think, but they still have this Ronaldo debate that went through the World Cup when he ended up being dropped, and then Gonçalo Ramos came in and scored a hat-trick in the knockout stages, and then Ronaldo's back again, presumably because of his fantastic goal-scoring form in Saudi Arabia.
If you like this video, click subscribe for more content like this. We'll be joined by the likes of David Ornstein, Matt Slater, Adam Crafton, Carl Anker, and plenty more through the season to bring you the inside track to the biggest stories in football. If you'd like to listen to the full episodes for free, search the Athletic Football Podcast wherever you get your podcasts from.